Joining us now on the Damage Report, presidential candidate Kristen Powers. Kristen, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Glad to have you on. And I want to talk about your candidacy, the issues and all that. I want to start off though by me admitting I can't put myself in the place of a person who's running for president. I can't imagine doing it. And so I'm always interested with individuals. What is it that led you to make the decision to run for president? So if you could tell us a little bit about your background and how you made that choice.
Okay, so I'm a University of Michigan Flint graduate, and I came out of that area and ended up doing great work coming out of Grosse Pointe, Michigan for our troops back in 2003, the first day of the Iraq War. So when you take my education, my personal experience, and my political experience that's not elected, and combine that all together, it just points to the White House. I've lived in 6 states. I've survived the Detroit bankruptcy. I've met with politicians at the federal, state, and local level since 2003 regarding the Iraq War. I self-published 4 books and sent them over to the Middle East with people in Michigan, Ohio, Florida, and California. So every time I went to start a website locally in Michigan or Florida, the webmasters, or in New York, the webmasters would just say, your story is not local, your story is global. This is much bigger than running for governor or for local office, and that's why I'm just diving in with this candidacy.
So just to make sure, so you haven't run for elected office before, correct?
No, I have. I actually ran in 11 and 12. I ran as Kristen Grisky as a GOP candidate, like an idiot, and then I switched. Yeah, and then I switched to the Democratic Party in the last election cycle. When they put Hillary Clinton up at the primaries, I switched to independent status just to stay in that cycle all the way until the end. But 2020, I believe, is my year. I believe it's the year that we are trying to steer for the right woman. I believe I'm the right person because of my healthcare experience, my multi-state and multi-country experience with the publishing. So, that's a little bit about me. Do you have any other quick questions about my background? I want to make sure I didn't miss anything.
No, I think we have the basic idea of your background, but I am interested. There's a lot of candidates in the Democratic primary. They're focusing on different issues depending on the candidate. If you had it your way, what would you like to be the sort of core issue that helps to determine who wins that primary?
I want to be known as the social equalizer based on my healthcare background regarding mental wellness and mental illness. I am the only healthcare candidate in the race that has studied the brain, that has dissected the brain on over 30 different people in my educational background. So I'm not an elected attorney. I'm not an elected business person. I mean, I've been involved in business for a long time, but I know how to intimately impact every single American life in this country from A to Z, regardless of if they are the very elite or if they are the poor and the homeless that are living on the streets. Not one other candidate can touch what I know from a healthcare perspective. I've treated over 50 diagnoses, at least in 4 different states, ranging from neurological issues to orthopedic issues to behavioral issues in children. I feel like I can address all of the social struggles that we are facing right now in America with the gun violence, with the homelessness, and with the addiction rates that we have. One homeless person in America is too much for me to even put up with that. So I think I will actually be able to reverse a lot of our trends socially and reverse a lot of the trends that we're also facing from an environmental perspective, because I am a scientist.
Do you, the DNC has established what will be required to get on the debate stage, with initial requirements for the first debate and then doubling for the second. Do you worry about your ability to generate that many different individual donations in just a short period of time?
I don't worry about it at all. I have asked for televised interviews for a few years now, since 11 and 12. That is the missing piece. That is the missing link for me. I believe that once I have a nationally televised interview, FaceTime interview with the Today Show, with Fox News or CNN, MSNBC, any of the stations, that will change the name of the game for my donations. That will change the name of the game for this election cycle. I am the person to beat Trump. I just need that one-time FaceTime televised interview, and that will be what's needed. I do not worry about it at all. I'm very confident that I can beat Donald Trump. I'm very confident that I can beat all the other Democrats in debates. So it's just a matter of time. And this last week has been absolutely phenomenal for me in Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota. I'm in South Dakota right now.
So I do have to ask you about one issue, though, that where you have a position, I think, distinct from, I believe, any of the other candidates that are currently running, and that is on reproductive rights, where you are against abortion. I don't believe any of the other candidates are. I don't think many elected Democrats are. Do you think it might be difficult to make it through a primary with that position?
No, I just want to make it clear that I'm a pro-life Democrat that also is for pro-choice. I'm for both issues. What I want is I want women to be able to choose to not abort. So I do not want the government to ever come in and create any laws that says you can or cannot have the baby. It is up to the mother to make that decision. When I was traveling a campaign in Alabama about 3 weeks ago, that's when they went, they went pro-life while I was literally driving through that state on my way to Louisiana. So I am not for murdering the babies. I am not for taking the choice away from the parents. I believe that life does begin at conception, but I believe that I need the stage as a healthcare provider to speak about these issues so that women are not used as pawns in the last few weeks of the election cycle. And I do stand with the pro-lifers, but I also stand with the pro-choice movement. It's hard to wrap your mind around that, but I think it can be done. I do not believe that we should make abortion illegal, but I think that we should have a strong message to not choose abortion in the first place. So that's where I stand on it. I am a pro-life Democrat that also believes in pro-choice law. Mm-hmm. So I do stand by the Democrats with that message, and I think that I can still win with that message on a Democratic debate stage.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that. I know that a lot more information about your positions is available at your website, powers2020.com. And Krista Powers, we want to thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much, John. I mean, I'm extremely grateful, and I hope to speak to you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll touch base a little bit later on the election. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.